You are watching the Southwestern American Choral Directors Association Connections podcast. Please like this video and subscribe to this YouTube channel for future content.
Well, hello everyone. I'm here today with Elizabeth Núñez, and she is our 7 through 9 treble honor choir conductor for SWACDA in Albuquerque. Thanks so much for joining me, Elizabeth.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Of course. So maybe you can first start by telling our few listeners about your musical upbringing, kind of how you came into choral music and kind of where you are now professionally and any other relevant details.
Wow. That's a lot, like my whole life. Okay. So I grew up in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and grew up singing in church. And so it's kind of where I got my start in gospel music. And then from there, went through high school. I was not really in choir until high school. I was in band, and in the city of Virginia Beach, you could only choose one. And so I was a trumpet player actually in the band. And my freshman year of high school, I auditioned for the musical, which was after school. And the choir teacher was running the auditions, and she said, "Have you ever thought about being in the choir?" And I said, "I'm in band." And she said, "I did not ask if you were in the band. I asked if you ever thought about being in choir." And so the very next year I was enrolled, and then I switched to choir. Loved it so much. From there, I went to college in Tennessee at Lee University, and then my graduate work at the University of Oklahoma. And then right after grad school, I came here to New York City, where I've been for over 20 years, and I work with the Young People's Chorus of New York City. I'm the creative director here. We serve about 2,000 children citywide every year, and we have a great team, and we get to do some really amazing things.
That's awesome. Yeah, you have a very large, well-known program with your chorus up there. So you're well known in the choral profession, but for those few people that may have been under a rock, I'm glad for them to know a little bit more about you. So maybe you can talk there for a moment about who your mentors were. What influences did you have in the world of choral music, and maybe some important lessons you learned from them?
Wow. These are really big questions.
Sorry, deep questions. Yeah.
I would say ultimately my greatest teachers have been my singers. The children and the adults that I've conducted through the years, learned so much from collaborating with them, and art making and the process of that creation of art has always been so meaningful and impactful, I think, to who I am as a person. Certainly in those early days, my high school chorus teacher that I mentioned earlier, she was a real force, stealing me from the band and all. But her name was Ruby Allen, and she was a conductor who had been in the city of Virginia Beach. She was the music teacher for the African American schools when the schools were segregated, and she had moved into once the schools were desegregated. Of course, she moved into teaching, and I was so inspired by what she had done with her life and how she had sought out education and music and really just done such amazing things. In fact, after she retired, she went back and earned her doctorate in choral conducting, and just a really inspiring lady. And she just passed last year at 95 years old. And so she was kind of one of my earliest choral mentors. From there, my teachers in undergrad and graduate school, I studied with Dennis Schrock, and that was he wrote the books, and he's a really fountain of knowledge, and I learned quite a bit there. But really, after coming to work here at the Young People's Chorus, I am married to the founder of YPC, Francisco Núñez, and we've been doing this thing now for a long, long time, and he really is my greatest partner. And together, I like to think that we sharpen each other on a daily basis, and inspire each other to do better and better, and to keep growing.
That's great. Yeah, we I like to try to give people the opportunity to at least give a tip of the hat to, those that have inspired us and taught us and influenced us in those ways. And I really like your first answer that, the singers in front of you are the ones that have really influenced you the most. And all the other folks along the way that you spoke about too. Maybe if people don't know them, don't know their history, don't know their work, maybe they can dive a little deeper into that. So that's great. Those are the heaviest questions.
Okay, good.
Right. So talk to me now a little bit about some similarities and differences that you've experienced in directing honor choirs that may be different than directing your regular choir at home.
Well, I think the honor choir is such a fantastic model because it allows singers who are really passionate about this art form to come together with singers that they don't know that are equally as passionate about the art form as well, and to have this really, impactful, intense experience together. I think, choir is community, and we are all breathing in the same air and releasing it into sound that comes together and forms this beautiful tapestry of sound that we get to experience in the rehearsal and in the concerts. And I think so as children and singers become, they walk into the room as strangers and they take in that air together, and then there's a bond that happens. And I think over the years, it's been such a great thing that there's been so much on social media where these singers have been able to connect with singers that are not necessarily in their school program or in their after school program singing, but they're all over the world. When I take my choir touring all over, they still to this day, singers will tell me about a singer they met in Canada or New Zealand or China, and that they're still able to speak with them online, and that they have this friendship of and this commonality of singing, which brings us all together.
Yeah, that connection is so important. Yeah, I agree 100%. So talk to me a little bit about your repertoire selection for this honor choir performance, or in general, like what factors influenced your choices here. And as you do that, I will try to bring up on screen the list of your selections.
Great. I'm really excited about this program. It's going to be, I think, really powerful and varied, and there's a lot of passion in each of these songs. It's very small, so I can't see if it's in the right order.
Yeah,
but,
sorry, it's right here.
We're gonna
it's in the middle of this spread.
Yeah. Space Hurricane is first, and it is a piece that was actually commissioned for the ACDA Eastern Region Honor Choir 2 years ago in 2024. And it is written by Francisco Núñez, my husband. And he wrote the piece based on, there's a new phenomena in space that they've just discovered within the last 5 years or so that is a space hurricane. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a hurricane that you would see here in our oceans, right? That's in space, and it's matter coming together and swirling, and so the piece sort of slowly unveils these different themes that then come together for what I call the hurricane section, and you can kind of see this whole hurricane being formed and then wreaking chaos and then dissipating. It has a mix of different languages: Japanese, Spanish, French, Greek, English, as well as some nonsense syllables. So it's a lot of different phrases, and it just kind of represents that different matter all coming together. But it's going to be a really great opener, and I'm super excited about it. Then we're going to do an arrangement of Skip to My Lou, which is an American folk song. This year is our 250th anniversary as a country. We went independent in 1776, and so we're celebrating that big birthday. So I wanted to give a nod to that folk tradition from a song from long ago. The Acclamatio is the next on the program. I think that's there at the bottom. That's by Damian Machnik. Damian is a Slovenian conductor and composer, and his works and the things he's doing with his choir are So powerful. And I just know that the audience is going to really enjoy this song, and the singers are going to really dig into the harmonies. They're really beautiful. It's in Latin. It's a palindrome. So it's like the sections of the song are the same forward as they are backwards. So it's a really interesting compositional model there. So Beauty in a Moment is a piece that was written by Elizabeth Zeman. So Elizabeth Zeman is an alum of the Young People's Chorus of New York City, and she was in the choir for about 10 years and got her formal training here, as well as went on to study at Berklee College of Music. But she's actually an indie songwriter artist. She performs under the name Elizabeth and the Catapult. And she's toured the world with a lot of amazing artists: Sarah Bareilles, Esperanza Spalding, Ben Folds, and she just has a huge following online in the indie scene. But this is actually more of a classical piece, and she wrote the words and the music and the piano part and vocals, and it just talks about that each moment on this earth is a beautiful one, and we can find all of the variations on that. And really dig into how special each one of those moments are. Then we have Take Me to the Water, Rollo Dilworth, who I think also is going to be there in Albuquerque conducting an honor choir. So hopefully I'm gonna shout out Rollo and get him to come to Dr. Dilworth, get him to come over to one of our rehearsals and maybe work on this piece a little bit. It's a composed song based on some spiritual quoting of some spiritual songs and some folk songs and a gospel setting. Really a lot of fun. And then we're going to end with La Sopa de Isabel. So La Sopa de Isabel is a piece that is it's in the rhythm of a Dominican merengue, but it's not a folk song. It sounds like a folk song, but it is a composed piece by Francisco Núñez. And I'll just tell the story of the piece. So Isabel is Elizabeth in Spanish, so I'm Elizabeth. And my husband's mother used to call me Isabel. And she passed a few years ago, but this was probably 12 or so years ago. I was making my grandmother's recipe for potato soup, which is like an Irish recipe. It has butter, bacon, potatoes, lots of salt, bad things, onions, celery, all these leeks, anything you want to put in it, really. And I was making this soup, and she came over and tasted the soup and said, "Que buena la sopa," which means this soup is so good, or how good is this soup? And my son at the time was about 3 years old, and she really wanted him to taste it. So she begins chasing him around the kitchen with the ladle, and he's just like, yuck, gross, And so she makes up this song, Que buena la sopa de papa, que buena la sopa de papa, a merengue, dancing around the kitchen and singing and trying to get him to taste the soup. He never did taste the soup, but Francisco got a great song out of it. And so he took it and put some verses and fleshed out the chorus a little bit. And it's just a lot of fun. So I like to say this is a Dominican merengue about Irish potato soup. It's just a piece of America. So there you go.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, thanks so much for sharing. Not just the reasons for why you chose some of these things, but what they mean to you. That's really impactful. And one of the reasons I like to have these conversations with our conductors, because they give us just a little bit of insight and get the students and the directors fired up about what they'll be singing when they come to experience the honor choir. So that's great.
That's great.
Yeah, and some of them I haven't heard before, so I'm interested to listen and get those in my bag of repertoire as well. So that's excellent. Okay, so what, if any, differences do you expect for a 7 through 9 treble choir singer to take away from this honor choir experience versus that of maybe an older student? Because they are really in the middle.
I love this age, this 7th through 9th grade age, because they don't know the word no. They can do anything. they can do anything that we as adults can help them to achieve, right? The sky's the limit. And that wide-eyed hope and that excitement for doing things that are really important is something that always inspires me working with this group. And, you know, and I guess the newness of it all for them, and the newness of, wow, this sound coming together with over 100 people just like me who just eat and breathe this music making. I think is just a really amazing experience for them. You know, the older singers have that as well. It's all on different developmental levels, right? Their things are becoming conscious in different ways. But I do love this age so much.
Yeah, I do too. You know, I teach college now, but I do miss my middle level singers that I used to teach, and now they're all, you know, grown with their own kids at this point. But I love working honor choirs at that age group too, because and you're right, they're just they don't know one way or another what you know, what to say, good or bad, about anything. They're ready for whatever you throw at them. So that's great. So maybe what also you can talk about the as far as the treble experience versus maybe a mixed choir experience. So this is middle level, 7 through 9, but maybe talk about the differences in a treble experience versus a mixed choir experience.
I mean, the dynamic socially is different with the ages and also different with the voice parts, right? So I think the dynamic of a 7 to 9 treble is going to be something that maybe has a different edge, or maybe they're not as self-conscious, right? Because there's not someone singing those low notes, right? But they're all kind of in the same tessitura. I think that the mixed choir experience is amazing, and it you know, it has definitely a wider range of notes that they're performing. But I think there is something very intimate about the treble voice and about the close-knit harmonies and the delicacies that we can achieve together. And there's power in that too. And I hope that over the course of our time together that we tap into that power. I like to do a lot through the breath and through getting our full bodies into the singing experience. And I know that as physically the 7th through 9th graders are you know, that is a really hard time of change physically in a child's life, in a human's life. And I think that if we can get into comfort with ourselves and with our bodies, that something really surprisingly powerful can come out of that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, full agree. Yeah, and that you kind of lead me into a question that I had further down, but it's relevant, I think, to what you're talking about here. So what can the singers expect from you for the first rehearsal when they come in? Just as you're trying to, you know, get everybody unified in sound and in spirit, what can they expect in that first rehearsal?
Well, I hope to break the ice because I really like to laugh, and I'm not always funny, but if they can learn to laugh at me even when I think I'm funny, you know, we'll have a better time together. No, but I want to know them, and I want to see what they bring to the table, and that's kind of the clay, right, that we begin to mold. So seeing what's getting you guys ticking, like what is it behind the curtain that really gets you excited, and how can I dig deeper into that? So my first rehearsal is going to be about hearing where they are with the repertoire, and then really listening in to see what have they discovered on their own, and then how can I augment that, and then also introducing them to some of the things that maybe they didn't see the first couple of times that they practiced the piece. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it gives them, you know, so you're seeking connection at the beginning and kind of where they are, and trying to take them from where they came in, and maybe find those moments that they didn't realize they are there in the music to begin with. So that's awesome. Okay, so knowing that these students are coming from these different programs in the Southwestern region, what's your approach to building that ensemble sound, intonation, musicality, and a group of talented but still developing young voices?
Whether I'm working with very young children or older adult singers, I always go to the breath. The breath is the foundation for every sound that we will make. And so how is that breath being taken in? How is it being released? How is it manifesting itself in the body? And then through all the course of the different genres that we're performing and the different sounds that we'll be making, how does the breath inform that sound? So the air that we take in together has to be in such a way that it's released with the same concept in our minds, right?
Yeah, full agree. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's about, regulation of air and that breath and, escape of that air at the same time and all of those things. So yeah, I fully agree. This is the last deep question I have for you, so I apologize.
So many, my God.
I know I made you think too hard on this interview. I apologize. But what trends maybe do you see that are emerging in choral music, or even in the last 10 years or so, and how might they affect the honor choir experience?
Oh, wow. Okay. Trends. Well, I think, look, I mean, the choral ecosystem went through a really tough time, with the pandemic and all of those things, of course. But I think we've emerged stronger, and I think we're really learning to cut through maybe some of the bureaucracy that existed before then. And how do we really get to what's the heart of the matter, which is people, and how do we really value the people that are in our choirs and the people that are there to make music with us and to create that beautiful moment together. I think what I hope is trending is just learning to marry that passion for humanity with a focus on craft, and knowing that we can still be diligent and skillful in our craft and in what we are technically bringing to our time together, as well as our shared humanity, right? So how can we continue to lift those two things up together?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Beautiful answer. And maybe trends is not the right word. Changes, growth. Maybe those are better words to say, especially emerging from the pandemic and, all things related from that. There's just been exponential growth there in
Yes.
the choral world. But I think you're right that the connection to humanity and that marriage of humanity to the excellence and skillful artistry that we're trying to achieve is something that's come to the fore in the last 10 years or so. So, and especially since the pandemic too, in the last 5 or 6. So, yeah, wonderful. Well, it's been really great talking to you today.
Thanks so much, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been fun. How can people maybe get in contact with you or follow your work or see what you're up to online? Where can they reach out?
Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm really bad at social media, like terrible. I do have social media, but sorry, I'm just not there. But I am lucky in that my organization, the Young People's Chorus of New York City, YPC, has really great socials. So if you want to see some of the work that we're doing over here in New York City, you can follow us at YPC of NYC on Instagram or Facebook. And also our website, ypc.org. There's a lot going on there. We got a lot of videos. We got a lot about our programs, about what we're doing, what our schedule is, and all of those things. If you want to reach out to me directly, you can reach out to Núñez at ypc.org. That's my email. Would love to hear from you if you have any questions about the repertoire or about our time together in Albuquerque.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, well, I look forward to hopefully peeling away and getting to sit in on a rehearsal or two and watching you work a bit. Probably before that, see you here in Oklahoma, as we mentioned before we started recording. Hopefully I get to see you then, and then also in Albuquerque. So we look forward to it, and I hope everybody will take this conversation and get really excited about the 7 through 9 treble honor choir with Elizabeth
I know
Núñez.
I'm excited. I'm ready.
That's great. Okay, well, thanks for joining me again, and
All right.
we'll see everybody next time.
Thank you, Jeff.